Awake TV. So today, soon I'm gonna talk about buying into other people's beliefs and how does this affect on your timeline. So, you know, I recently experienced something like this, and then I'm thinking a lot of you might be experiencing this, and it's a good topic to talk about. So I give you my example. I moved to one agency to another, and then I ended in amicably and a friendly manner and stuff like that. So my old boss was saying it's really a bad idea for me to move to a new agency because open listing or whatever. And as soon as I read his reply, I got so fearful because this person is, authority. He knows more about real estate. He been in the field for, I don't know, nearly 40 years. And then I'm just there for a month, you know? So I got really scared. And then about a month, I was kind of like struggling myself. Instead of being ecstatic about enjoying my move to the family, I feel so much nice
Connection to, right?
resonance with. And then I know my guide guided me to my present agency because they told me that I should be super positive and excited and super like elated and stuff. But instead, after I moved, like I was kind of into fear mode because I bought into what he was saying, you know. And then that kind of like disrupted I'm still in most positive timeline, but it kind of disrupted to slight timeline influence a change because I could be living in the timeline of, okay, I just moved to new agency and all this positive and new beginning and all this door is opening up. That timeline or being in fear, right? So I was in being in fear timeline. And then other person also said something something not negative but influenced me, like how do you know this client gonna be always with you? Like usually client are gonna go with 5 different other agents, but in my reality he was always with me. And then in my reality, yeah, we're gonna find apartment together, and that kind of affected me. And then today my guide was telling me, okay, so you bought into all these people's belief or suggestion or comment or whatever, and how do you feel about that? I was all I wasn't feeling anything bad before I decided to buy into whatever the stuff these people are telling me. I was super positive. I was super optimistic. I was super elated. I was super excited. And then as soon as I bought into whatever the people said to me out of whatever, right? Their belief or
Concern.
concern or whatever. Or
Give
could
them
be
the benefit of the doubt.
regardless of why people make a comment or feedback or whatever, when you buy into it, you kind of like weave other people's point of view or timeline or energetic stuff within yours. So your creation is no longer pure.
Right.
It's not that you are made by whole essence. You decided to bring other people's essence into you. And then my guide was saying, how do you feel about it? And then I said, I don't feel good. And then, why did you buy into it? And then I said, that's a good question. Why did I buy into it? Because it's a one thing. Someone who is like, you know, for a long time and they're your best friend or amazing husband or something, and they make a comment. Then if you buy into it, that's kind of like makes sense.
Understandable, right.
Yeah. But if you just met these people or you only spend these people for a few months or something and they're not your best friend or anything and you decided to buy into it because these people are more experienced or authority figure or seem like more professional than you or whatever, right? So you decided to buy into it. And then you get or you feel shitty about that. And then they're like, okay, so do you remember you are creating your own reality? So yeah, I do remember that. And I kind of came to the conclusion I'm not being responsible enough, or I'm aware about my feeling, but I'm not responsible enough about, like, I'm not responsible enough to trusting myself, like trusting my own point of view about how I feel about my new beginning, right?
Or your intuition about which is the better option, which you took quite some time to decide what you felt was the best option for you between the agencies. So, like, you questioned your own maybe intuition about the choice because these other people, you listened to them and um it gave you a second thought about it instead of trusting and flowing with it, which you knew it was the right decision for you.
Yeah, like I'm telling you guys to always listen to your heart, don't listen to your mind. And then I decided to listen to the mind because when you think about, logically, I only know about this field for 1 month. And these people are super experienced, right?
Mhm.
And then I bought into it and then I felt really shitty about it.
Mhm.
And then I decided, you know what? Regardless of what they say, I'm decided to follow when I'm decided to buy into some people's idea. If it makes me feel good, not because my ego feels good, but my heart feels good, or expand my consciousness or expand my perspective, like, oh, I didn't know, I never looked at that way,
Mhm.
open up my perspective or something, maybe that's beneficial. But when other people's per- opinion, whatever that is, Peter Sage called goop, good opinion of other people, he says don't listen to it. He's right about that, right? And
Well,
then,
it's like a tarot card reading, right?
yeah,
We tune in, you and I, and we talk about this. And what does a good tarot card reader say every time they do a general reading for, say, Aquarius or Sagittarius or whatever? They say, take what resonates and disregard the rest. Why is that? Because they're picking up on general energy, right? So the universe knows who's going to be listening to it, and it gives the best, because let's face it, all Aquarius, like I'm an Aquarius, all Aquarius are not going to be on the same timeline, right? That's just not
yeah,
possible because we're all creating our own, right? And that they're going to be similar timelines, but we're not all going to be having the same experiences. So, what happens is the reader taps into like general energies that apply to the bulk of, or the higher percentage of people that will be listening to it. And so this particular day as an Aquarius, I tap into one that really doesn't resonate with me because, maybe the general population that are listening to it are going through a certain thing. Maybe I've already been through it. Maybe I'll never experience it. And so that's why they say if it doesn't resonate, disregard it. Go with your intuition. Um, so that's kind of more of a general thing that people say. And back in the day when I used to go to psychics, for readings, they would say that too. But my favorite was my mentor who said to me, You know, he explained to me about why it's not set in stone. And he could see way, way, way far into the future. I mean, wow, it's really impressive to me still to this day how far in advance he predicted certain things in my life that I'd forgotten about. And then I realized when it happened, I was like, oh my gosh, Bob told me that was going to happen. But anyway, the reason it can change is because we have the free will. We may make a different decision,
Mm-hmm.
especially given the fact that we've now been told about it, okay, which gives us the power to say, okay, I really don't want to have that happen, so I'm going to change X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to choose A instead of B, and that changes the whole thing. You're on a whole different path, you know, because of that one decision. You know, if it's something big or it could be something small, we just don't know. We may meet somebody that, you know, we're going to get married and it won't be successful, but you're going to have all these experiences. But if you knew about it ahead of time, you might say, I'm going to hold off. I've been warned about this. I really choose not to have this experience. Okay. So we have a lot more power than we think. But if we hand it over to somebody else, even if they are a quote unquote expert or they are a close family member or they really do and truly have our best interest in mind. We're just going to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Yes, there are people that will give you bullshit information because they want to see you crash and burn. We're not talking about those people so much. They do exist and we all are aware of it, but I'm talking more about people that want to give you advice because they really care about you and they're worried. Um, you know, that's fine. And that comes from the goodness of their heart, but that doesn't mean we still have to grab onto it.
Yeah.
Um,
Their belief, their human construct, and all that kind of stuff is different from us. They had different past lives, traumas. So how they see things are different.
it's
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 nothing to.
applicable to them, you know,
Yeah.
and we can say, you know, oh, thank you for that information or thank you for your suggestions and all that kind of stuff. We don't have to say, oh, I'm not doing that. You know, we don't want to insult people. But, you know, I'll give you an example from my life, which, you know, I live in Florida. We just had Hurricane Ian, and I'm so appreciative and blessed for the people that were constantly, you know, PMing and messaging, you know, myself or my husband or my kids, um, in their concern. Really, it made my heart swell because I just didn't think that many people liked me or even gave a shit whether I blew off the face of the earth. So it was really nice for that concern. However, um, it could have turned into panic had I not known ahead of time that I'm not meant to in my life path, meant to experience a catastrophe or a disaster. Okay. I've had two in my life, not total disaster, but pretty intense. And I'm done with that. It's not in my life path anymore. And I know that. And my husband knows that. And we talked about it. And it's like, no, it's just not meant for us. So we knew we would be safe from the storm. We still got a few extra supplies just to be smart about it. Some extra water and a little bit extra food, and we stocked up a little bit on some things that we could easily open and eat. Oh, we had charcoal. So if we needed to cook things alternatively, we could. And that's it. That's all we did. Um, Meanwhile, everybody else is really panicking, and I get that. Natural disasters are scary, and the idea of not having food or water. Uh, Theoretically, I mean, you're really not going to die unless you don't have water for 3 days. 3 days is the general thing. You can go without food for a very long time, so I wasn't even worried about that. But so the point I'm trying to make is I spoke to my neighbor who lives 2 doors down from me this morning, as I went around the neighborhood to assess, you know, any damage. And I was just going for my walk. And so we talked a little bit and she had a panic attack. She sat in her laundry room for hours doing a rosary and praying. And she, you know, I could tell she was still like a little twitchy, even so. And, where we live, we got some high wind. I've actually experienced more with some thunderstorms than we had during Ian with the rain and the wind. We've had harder thunderstorms than what we had that night. We lost power for 3 hours. No big deal. The water was fine. Um, but she lost her balance and her emotional integrity and a whole night's of sleep, and her nervous system was shot. And she looked traumatized. And here I was just la 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 walking out for the day. So that's like one example, kind of an extreme example, but think about the things that we worry about every single day that we don't need to, or we take it on our plate because someone told us we should worry about it. And so then we do. And then eventually our plate gets really, really, really full. And all we're doing is eating worry all the time. What's that doing to your nervous system? What's it doing to your timeline? What's it doing to your quality of life?
Yeah.
So, for our people that, our friends that are members of, organizations that are the spiritual communities, you and I talk about this, all these different platforms that you can listen to, mighty networks, and you can rattle off probably 5 more networks than I can even remember. But when we get on them, everybody's just talking about fear stuff or anger or the cabal or this or that or the other thing. It's like bitching about this and worried about that. And oh, be afraid. No, because first of all, if this cabal really exists, and I say if because I feel like I'm in another timeline already, but if it does, you're feeding it because you're afraid, and that's what they want. So they win. So stop it.
Yeah. And then also, it's just the lesson I learned from my own experience, I want to share with you guys was like this. Is this really what you want to bring into your reality? Because you are the creator. And do you want that? Doesn't matter how believable it is, but if it doesn't come from you, from your heart or your head or whatever, somebody else, so you're buying into it. You don't really have to buy, because when you buy the item, we have choice of, okay, whether I want to buy this butter or that butter, or don't buy butter at all, right? So you can use the belief or whatever the opinion group, whether we want to take it or not, because
It's like ice cream, right?
yeah.
The flavors you like may not be anything that I'm interested in. We're
Hmm.
all creating. We're all creating. And so we're entitled to create whatever we want. But I mean, like you're saying, be conscientious of your choices.
Yeah, and then when we are sending, it's not our world gonna event automatically change into rainbow. You feel rainbow, right? Because you're in 5D or whatever. But people around you, you encounter, these people might be still in 3D or 4D. Like, you don't hang out with them all the time, but you come across to these people and they share with you their point of view or whatever. So our job means, people who are spiritually awakened, to be stable. We fluctuate here and there. Yeah, we are human, that's fine. But
Yeah.
how much do you let other people to influence you by you decided to buy into their idea, their
Mm,
belief, their whatever emotional storm they are having, right? Because that's not your timeline.
yep. Or, you know, it could be if you really want to buy into it. And,
Yeah.
just be careful of that beachfront property in Arizona because there's no beaches in Arizona, right? So I'm just taking the long way around of saying, don't be fooled into buying something that isn't real.
Yeah, I mean, like, people can have also sort of a believable idea or even like a good opinion of other people. That's other people's point of view. I'm not saying don't ever listen to other people's idea, because some people are so stubborn, right? Inflexible. We can still be flexible enough to see if this perspective or belief gonna open me up to see another angle. That's helpful. But if it's gonna bring you to automatic fear or automatic depression or automatic anything bring you down emotionally or vibrationally, it's very important to ask you why you decided to buy into it. Or if you decide to buy into it, you can bring it, you can return it. You can automatically decide, okay, it's enough.
That's true, and that's the beauty of staying in the moment point, and I do wanna refer to a work of ours from, I think it's like a year or 2 ago, No More Gurus or whatever we called it. There's a part 1 and a part 2. Um, if you guys get a chance, have a listen to that because
Yeah,
it still holds true now. We are talking about the new religion, which is instead of putting our faith in something outside of ourselves, i.e., God or whatever, we realize that we are gods. And because all together as whole in consciousness, we are source. Okay. So instead of putting our faith in what's outside of us, we put our faith in what's inside of us and allowing that to come out and guide us. It's the new faith, it's the new religion, it's the new whatever. But I'll tell you what, every one of us has the power to create. And so I'm getting really stingy, with my power. I'm not just giving it out or giving it away to just anybody.
yeah,
It's coming to me first. So that when I feel nice and balanced and whatever, um, then I offer to help others if I'm asked. Uh, but, and I used to be the kind of person that would run around just looking for somebody to save. So, that's a habit, that's a pattern that we can be in. And, you gotta have a real good come to Jesus, talk to yourself moment where you say, am I addicted to being chaotic or for problems to happen? Because I know that's a thing I had to have a discussion with myself about. And the answer was, yeah, I got very used to always waiting for the other shoe to drop or something to go wrong or something that needed my attention or needed me to fix. Well, once I let go of that, then a whole lot of that stuff dropped out of my life. My life's a lot more peaceful. If I become unbalanced, if I'm not paying attention, um, I could slide back into that and I feel it and I don't like the way chaos feels anymore. I want my peace and I want my balance. And I'm not saying, as a human that there's never going to be challenges in our lives, or that I've reached some point in my life where that won't ever be an issue or that I'll never be afraid again. This is not what we're saying. We're saying be very careful who you give your power to or whose energy you're buying into or whose story that you're adopting as your own. Because really you get to write your own.
yeah.
I think that's what we're saying.
And it's not about wrong or right thing, because
No.
for these people, what they're saying is absolutely true to them, absolutely real to them. So respect what they're saying. It's not like, oh, no, 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 I don't believe what you said. Like, your point of
Right.
view is so wrong. It's not
Yeah, yeah.
that. It's
Yeah,
just,
don't have a smackdown. Yeah.
yeah, they're fine. They are entitled to have an opinion. They can give you a good opinion of their whatever. But you can appreciate their share, but you don't have to take it. You know,
Right.
you don't have to buy into their opinion or whatever suggestion or belief as if it's yours. Because
Yeah.
if it's yours, it's resonate in heart level, not brain, but heart level. It just makes sense to you. Or you that whatever the stuff was said to you, it just opened your eyes. You feel like, wow, I didn't see that way, but yeah, that makes sense. That kind of opened up another faucet, right? You expanded yourself.
Hmm.
Well, unless it's like that. I mean, my guide, when Sue and I were talking about it before we record, my guide was saying, after you ascended, or reach to certain spiritual level. The life is more like riding on the wave, like you're being a dolphin and being playful. You're like flexible enough to be open and enjoy the ride. So easier for them means higher self or guide or galactic team to guide you because you're not stubborn about it.
Yeah, you're not so tense and inflexible
Yeah,
or so attached to it has to be this way. That
yeah,
they can't work with us when we're that rigid.
yeah. Like it's important to set the intention, right?
Hmm.
Like, okay, I want to be successful to have my own company. Let's say if that is your intention, you can set that intention so they know where you're going. But okay, it has to be in 5 years, and then I'm gonna bring my company to IPO. You know,
And it
when
has to
you
be in this location, in this building, and these people have to work with me. I mean, it's
yeah,
not giving them a lot of room to work with because if
no,
those other people don't want to be there, guess what? It ain't going to happen.
yeah,
You know what I really like is I was listening to Minnow Pond Tarot,
mm-hmm.
and I think his name is Chris
Mm-hmm.
Wren. I think that's his name. I just love him. I love the way he reads because he is a no BS individual. I mean, he just gets information, he throws it out there. But what I like about what he's saying lately is um, we're coming to times, in human, for the world and human evolution where we get to write our script now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he said, so go for bust, it doesn't matter if it seems ridiculous what you want to create, just throw it in there. Imagine it all coming to you. Keep wishing for it, keep thinking about it, eat, sleep, and drink it because we're going to be manifesting these things in our reality. And so, and really truly nothing is too big to imagine yourself doing. Now, uh, do I believe that I could become a professional tennis player? Um, if I really, really, really wanted it, uh, probably would be there already, right? I'd probably be in the tennis circuit, but that's not something I'm interested in. So, when I say things like this, we're manifesting, we're doing it, we're creating it. They'll come up with some ridiculous thing, um, and I'll say, well. If you were meant to be a pro football player, you wouldn't have been born with a club foot. That's just, it's not in your plan. That's not what your soul wants. Okay. So before you guys go throwing a bunch of, crazy scenarios, but what I'm saying, I think what Chris is saying and what I'm saying is that from your heart space, wish for everything, imagine everything coming to you and see yourself happening. Yes, when the time comes, take steps toward it and just have faith that it's coming your way because you wouldn't want it if it wasn't meant for you.
Yeah. And then also like when surprise surprising suggestion come from your guide or higher self or your galactic team, like in my case, their suggestion, it's not their order. I have to listen, I have to decide, I can decide whether I like it or not. Going to real estate. It's not career change, it's just your
A
stepping
different focus. Yeah. Yeah.
stepping stone.
Hmm.
And then I could say, what are you talking about? That got nothing to do with my career goal. That's nothing to do with my empire. I could say that. Or, oh, that could be part of my empire. I'll listen to it. That might relate to everything I want to have, right? So if
And you
you're
could have fun doing
flexible,
it,
yeah,
right?
if
You could
you're
have fun doing it.
flexible, if you're flexible, you can think about how can I bring into whatever suggested into your present thing without changing much and see where it goes.
Mhm.
Because
Might be
they
a short
know,
term thing.
yeah, because they know the closest way to get where you want to go after you set the intention. So they may
That's true.
suggest you really weird advice, really weird, you know?
Yeah. Like quantum healing. I mean, I got so much guff from pretty much everybody I know because I was just this close to getting my master's degree and I had such a great point average and I already knew the field and had been a counselor for so long anyway. And it was like, well, last minute, last semester, I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. This isn't for me. And so I'm pretty sure everybody thought I lost my ever loving mind, but there's not a minute in my life where I regret that decision because it was just not for me. And I love quantum healing. Um, I know I'm going to be doing more of it than I have been. There's some other things I have to do before I go all the way back into it. But there may be some things, some opportunities coming that build upon that, which have
Yeah.
to do with community rather than singular sessions. I don't know. I don't know what's coming, but I'm kind of I want to be that dolphin. I want to ride those waves. I love that example that Michael gave you and shared with me. So, let's try and have some fun too.
Yeah. So when you're open to the suggestion of your guide, your higher self, they can see much farther than we do, but they cannot predict how our life gonna be because nothing is set in stone. Because ultimately, we have to be the person to make a decision, and then they can suggest, but whatever the suggestion we take it and make it, then our timeline changes too. Usually, when we take their opinion, our guide, our higher self, galactic team, we tend to go to higher timeline, better, positive timeline, right? That's why they are suggesting.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, they know what our life plan is. That's
Yeah,
why that's why they signed up to be our guides.
yeah.
And that's why they make certain suggestions because like maybe we tried this and it didn't work out and they said, okay, well, if that didn't work, let's try this. It's close. It's not exactly what she intended, but it's close. And it's a nice, like you said, a nice stepping stone. And then they're going to meet X, Y, and Z people, and that's going to get them eventually to where they want to be.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
they conspire in ways that we can only imagine.
Yeah, because we don't see like, oh, get to California, we gotta go to Alaska, right? They don't go
Exactly.
to
It makes no
Alaska to go
sense.
to California.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But, if we look back on, and I know I've done it, you and I have talked about too, so many things that we look back on and we go, oh, now I understand why that happened. It taught me this, or it introduced me to that. you know, and then when we die, if we leave our bodies or whatever, we get to that place where we have total knowing and understanding of how it all played out. We'll go, wow, I don't know why I fought so hard against this when clearly it was just the thing I needed. And we laugh at ourselves. So, like life is just not that serious, but do pay attention to what you want, what your dreams are, and please try not to put so much weight on what people around you are saying or what the community's saying. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. You're connected to X, Y, and Z. If X, Y, and Z starts talking about stuff and it doesn't resonate with you all, give it a break. Give it a rest. Stop listening for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just listen to your heart to see if this makes you feel really like resonate you or feel excited about it, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Go
the
for your
point.
highest joy.
Like Bashar says.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so next week soon I'm gonna bring a more interesting topic. Thank you so much for watching. Please share, like, subscribe, and then we see you next time. Bye.
Bye.